We are now joined by Darien Porter, Bettendorf grad and Iowa State defensive back. Darien, first of all, thanks for joining us. Like I said, it's been a while since we've officially talked in person, but you've had a really nice career up at Iowa State. How are things going for you at this point?
They're great. You know, we had the combine and everything in late February, but since then, just doing a lot of working out, staying in shape, just kind of waiting around for the draft to come around, just staying ready and everything.
Remember the last time I interviewed you in high school was at the state track meet. It would have been after the 4x4 relay. And I remember asking you at that time, had you thought of actually doing track up at Iowa State? And you kind of said, maybe a little bit, but football was always your first love. Do you feel like looking back now, obviously things have worked out for the best for you and football was the right choice, the right decision at that time?
Yeah, and you know, I had always thought about running track, but the thing for me was that, I didn't want to have to split my time between two. If I wanted to do one and kind of invest all of my time into it. So when I was in high school, yeah, I was maybe throwing it around a little bit about running track, but once I got to Iowa State and obviously started working out in football. That was kind of my main focus. And like you said, it was football was always, playing college and professional football was always my first dream as a kid. So, I couldn't turn that down. I had to pursue that at least.
Absolutely. Well, you started Iowa State as a wide receiver and then eventually switch over to defense. Take me through that process of how that happened. Was it your choice? Did you talk to Coach Campbell about it? Your defensive coaches, offensive? How did that process work for you?
Yeah, so my first couple seasons, I was like you said, playing wide receiver, and wasn't a great, big contributor on the offensive side, but I played a lot of special teams and was doing some big things in there. And following the 2021 season, that spring, Coach Campbell met with me because of my athleticism. We had lost some guys in the secondary to the transfer portal, and we had a guy, TJ Tampa, who just got drafted last year by the Baltimore Ravens. He made a similar transition from receiver to corner and was having a lot of success. And Coach Campbell figured that I could make that transition have and see similar success that he did. So he kind of brought it up. He said stick with it for the spring ball, and see how you like it. And we go through the spring, and I was all for it. So decided to that was what I wanted to do, and here we are today.
Looking back on that now, obviously, probably the best decision you've made at Iowa State, right? As far as making that switch and kind of staying with the football and going to defensive side.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it was great. The most important thing for me was that I wanted to, you know, contribute. I wanted to help our team win, and then whatever successes I may see following that, is just like a bonus of it. But in my time, we had our best just this past year. We had our best season in school history, and 11 win season. So it was all worth it. And obviously, with my success that I had, it was great. Definitely the best decision.
We usually make fun of the defensive backs because they don't have hands, but knowing you and you played wide receiver, you got some hands. So I mean that had to help a little bit too. What was the year like for you? Because obviously you had a really good year where you started getting some recognition nationally, and people are like, "Hey, this guy can play," but they probably didn't really see all the potential that you knew you had. Kind of take me through the year and what was the year like for you playing defensive back?
It was a lot of fun, especially this past season. Like you said, it's my first season as a full-time starter. And I felt like I took advantage of it, but it was kind of cool because I wasn't the most, obviously because I hadn't done a whole lot up until this point. It didn't really, no one really knew about me. Um, you know, so kind of being able to showcase my skills and be put on, go to the Senior Bowl, get invited to the combine, and just enjoy those kind of things, was really special for me. It's kind of everything that before I started the season, set out all my goals and, was able to accomplish all of them. So, it was very special. It was a lot of fun. And, you know, I, it was a long journey to get here, no doubt. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think I learned a lot of valuable stuff throughout my time.
Let me ask you about that Iowa game. Obviously, you guys win as a team, which is awesome. You get two interceptions in that game. How fun was that for you?
It was pretty awesome. I had obviously being from Bettendorf, had a lot of my family was there, a lot of friends were there, and I know most of them are Hawkeye fans, so they were probably a little upset, but I got a lot of love from them too. So that was cool, even though it's a in-state rivalry and everything, but they were still really happy for me. So that was really cool. But that was a fun game and definitely one of my favorites since I've been to Iowa State, no doubt.
Would you say that's one that maybe kind of put you on the map a little bit for maybe other people to kind of realize, hey, this guy can play on that side of the ball?
I think so. I was because of those two interceptions, I was the highest rated corner in college football that week, and finished as a top 10, top 12 graded corner in the country. So I would definitely say that was kind of like the breakout, as people like to say, and I would agree with it. But yeah, no doubt.
Kind of give you more confidence for the rest of the season and kind of assess the way you played the rest of the year from that point on.
Yeah, I mean, I was very confident, because I had a good spring, I had a great camp. I was confident going into the season, but to have success like that week two against a rival, and then just our team getting like pulling off a tough win, it really definitely elevated my play and our whole team's play, just confidence wise going for the rest of the year. I mean, we won. I mean, won our first 7 games in a row. So, we were a very confident team following that, no doubt.
I've talked to other players over the years that once the season ends and you have a really good senior year or whatever it is, and you get, like you said, you got invited to the Senior Bowl and then the combine and things like that, but it can be a whirlwind after the season's over. What was the Senior Bowl like? And I know you probably met with some coaches there for the NFL and things like that nature. What was that like for you in the Senior Bowl?
It was really cool. Being surrounded by, some of the top talent in this year's draft and being able to play with and against them. And, I had 3 other Iowa State guys up there with me. So it was a lot of fun. Practices were great. The game was fun. And then, like you said, met with a lot of coaches, met with a lot of met with almost every team. So, that was a great experience just to, be able to get practice in front of scouts and teams and coaches, and then being able to talk to them at the end of the day. It's big, and that's kind of similar to how the combine is too. We do all of our medical, we do our testing at the end of the week, but a lot of it is just you have your formal and informal meetings with teams, and it's a lot of fun. And was very grateful for those opportunities as well.
I ask you a little bit more about like the meetings and things like that. Let me ask you about the combine because I watched the combine and I was anxiously waiting for you to get on the field and showcase what you can do, and more so even in the 40, because again I know the speed you have, and most people probably didn't get to see that a lot this year. Then you run what was I think it was a 4.340, which was the
Yeah.
second fastest. What was that like for you, just being out there on the field, the 40, and just kind of everything you had to do physically out there on the field for the coaches and for the scouts?
Yeah, it was kind of eerie. It's there's like all those coaches and they let people come in, but for the most part it's like dead quiet. So it's kind of strange. It's a really strange environment, but the testing and everything itself was a lot of fun. There was a lot of guys that I was training with, a lot of DBs that I was training with down in Fort Lauderdale. We were out there at the same time, so it's cool to see yourself and then obviously the guys you were training with for 2.5 months all out there running good times and doing all this awesome stuff. It kind of made you feel like you were part of a team again. But the 40 was great. All my jumps and the on the field, the defensive back drills were a lot of fun, and it was a long day for sure, but it was a great opportunity. I thought I took advantage of it.
Strange to see some of the things that they kind of put emphasis on like how far your broad jump is. It's like when are you going to be broad jumping when you're guarding somebody in the NFL, right? But is it
Yeah.
strange to see some of those things in the metrics that they kind of measure you by?
Um, it's at a glance, yes. Obviously, like you said, like what's the point of the broad jump? Like you just like you're jumping, but I think the further like you look into it more, they're trying to see like your explosion and your power and stuff like that. So it's cool. Like obviously, you don't have to test great to be a great football player, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a great test, like a great testing day at the combine. And so I was happy with it. I PR'd and everything I did at PR'd like I had my best since I started training at the combine, so I was happy with it.
So when you walked away, you were pretty satisfied with everything you had done there, right?
Yeah, I wanted to run the 4.2s, but I was close and I just say I'm close enough, so I was happy with everything. Yeah, no doubt.
So then what were the meetings like? And what are you getting for feedback at that point? Because obviously at that point, coaches and scouts have seen like, all right, this guy's athletic. He can play, he can run, he can catch, he can do all the things that we need out of a defensive back in the NFL. So what was the feedback you were getting from them?
Yeah, it's funny because we did all of our like meetings before we tested. So we
Okay.
tested on Friday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were all our meeting days. But they were a lot of fun, especially the formal ones with like head coaches and GMs and stuff in them. But a lot of the feedback, obviously they all knew that every single team asked me, "What are you going to run?" And I would just say I was going to run fast. But they like you said, they already knew the athletic profile. They just wanted to see, how you process the game. Can you talk through defenses? Can you learn their defense and then recite it back to them in your 15 or 20 minutes that you get? So, it can be seen as like high pressure, but it was a lot of fun and I thought I did really well. So, I thought it was great.
So what have you been up to since the combine, which is I guess almost about a month ago now?
So I've been back at Ames, just, working out, staying in shape. Had a lot of Zoom calls with coaches after the combine. I took a 30 visit to Atlanta and I've got a couple others scheduled in the next coming weeks. But just trying to stay after it, making sure that, once the draft rolls around and you get picked and then you're off. So, making sure that I'm in the best shape possible to hit the ground running when I get to wherever I get to.
You look at like Mel Kiper or the guys that rank and put people in the rankings and things like that to see where you fall, or do you even care about that stuff? And just it's more what the coaches say and kind of where what you think you're going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say I have never looked at a mock draft or anything. But it's all speculation. Draft diet is crazy because you never know what's going to happen. So we and my age don't really talk about where am I going to go, where am I at, because until the day of, the day before, it's probably pretty pointless because teams are still figuring it out too. So but just take it day by day, and my name will get called eventually. We just got to keep working, and hopefully it's as high as it can be.
Just mentioned it. Your name's going to get called. You've worked hard to get to this point. Do you feel like that's the payoff at this point? Is like, you guess at this point, getting your name called, but then knowing there's a lot more work after that.
Yeah, that's definitely the exciting part. Had a lot of, leading up to the combines, Senior Bowl, I was really worried, like obviously performance wise, you want to be your best. But now that we're here, it's just, I'll enjoy the moment and I'll be with my family. I'll enjoy it. We'll all have a great time. But the exciting thing is that now it's like a new chapter and you can set all new goals and now you can accomplish a whole bunch of things once you actually get in the league. So that's the part that excites me. Obviously it'll be great on draft night, whatever night it is, but I'm really looking forward to actually getting out there and obviously getting to work and train and contribute at the NFL level.
Probably seen some of your other teammates over the years get their names called. Have you reached out to them to like, hey, what should I expect? What can I expect? How should I act? Type of thing.
Yeah, I've had a lot of those conversations, especially, like you said, since Coach Campbell's gotten to Iowa State, there's been NFL talent all over the place. So I've definitely leaned on those guys, people like Xavier Hutchinson, Brees Hall, TJ Tampa, to kind of ask them, way, hey, like, what should I expect out of the pre-draft when I'm training, the combine, post-draft? Like, what's it look like? What did it look like for you? What did you learn? How can I go in and take and be the best, right away? So, definitely helpful to have that kind of, lead mentorship with guys that have come out before me. So I definitely leaned on those people.
Did you have a favorite team growing up?
I did. It was the St. Louis, now Los Angeles Rams.
Okay, why
That's
them?
my favorite team. My dad was born out in St. Louis, so I kind of just attached myself to them. But I was actually born an hour and a half outside of LA. So when they moved to LA, he stopped because only reason he liked them was because they were in his hometown. So he jumped ship. But I'm like, well, it kind of works for me because I'm nearby LA, so I'll stick with him.
So, what do you do over the next, I guess, month? Draft is at the end of April. What will the next month look like for you?
I like I kind of said before, I just I have some visits. I have two more visits or three more visits scheduled up until April 15th. So I'll do those. I work out every day in the mornings. I like to. I'll probably watch a couple of Iowa State spring ball practices. They just started that up, so I went to their first one on Tuesday, and then yeah, well probably a couple of days before the draft, I'll come back to Bettendorf and just get ready with my family and everything. Enjoy them.
Aaron, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk to us about the process and everything you've gone through to get to this point. We're all extremely proud of you here in the Quad Cities, obviously, and followed your career. So we wish you all the best. I look forward to hearing your name called and then talking to you again when you're going to be a NFL player. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.